this is geometry review for your chapters 1 and 2 test. So I'm on page 35 in your textbook. All right, that's where your chapter 1 review is. So if you look at your review, the very beginning of the review gives some information you learn from each lesson. The first one is sort of different. So definitions you have to know from chapter 1 are things like, what is a point? How do you differentiate a line from a line segment? All those C words, collinear, coplanar, non-collinear, the different types of angles that we looked at. Another C word, concurrent. What does it mean to be concurrent? And remember, lines are concurrent. Points are collinear or not. You need to remember those dimensions. Remember, we said a point is no dimensions. Lines, line segments, 1 dimension. Perimeter, 1 dimension. 2 dimensions are planes, polygons. 3 dimensions, polyhedrons. All right, and you should know the different names of the polygons. You should know the perimeter and area of a quadrilateral, rectangles, squares, and triangles. All right. We also did some constructions. We bisected line segments and we bisected angles. So you'll need all of your geometry tools for the test on Tuesday to be able to actually do that. All right. If I'm looking at the homework problems, you've just got to be able, the exercises for the review, they're all great. You've got to be able to measure angles. So on your test, I already told you, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be all different types of problems. There's going to be fill in the blank. There's going to be matching. You're going to have just problems where you have to give me the answers, constructions, multiple choice. All right. That's really what we did from chapter 1. Now chapter 2 is when we began to work on our proofs, developing a proof. And remember, we use postulates to prove our theorems. Our postulates are things that statements that we require no proof, that we assume to be true without requiring proof. Those postulates are also called premises. All right, the validity of the premise doesn't necessarily mean that the theorem is actually valid. All right, you've got to be able to construct a conditional statement from a sentence. So your conditional statement is the if-then. For example, if I tell you triangles are 3-sided polygons. Can you construct a conditional statement? Can you write a conditional statement? So if the shape is a triangle, then it is a 3-sided polygon. So from sentences, you've got to be able to come up with the conditional statements. You've also got to be able to take a conditional statement and write its converse. So if we were writing its converse, we would write, if the shape is a 3-sided polygon, then it is a triangle. You've also got to be able to write a biconditional. So the biconditional only works, remember, with definitions. So it would be, if it is a triangle, it is a triangle, not if. It is a triangle. If and only if it is a 3-sided polygon. All right? So you've got to be able to do all of those with the conditional statements. You've got to remember the difference between a direct proof and an indirect proof. All right? And how do I write that first statement? Remember, indirect proofs begin with suppose not. Whereas a direct proof goes if A, then B, B, then C, therefore A to C. And this particular direct proof would be called a syllogism. And you have to remember that this is the hypothesis, this is a conclusion, right? Hypothesis, conclusion. If you're given conditional statements, you've got to be able to identify what part of it is the conclusion, what part of it is the hypothesis. Remember, the conclusion depends on the hypothesis happening, right? So even if and then are not used in a conditional statement, you have to reason which action depends on something else, all right? So the conclusion is always dependent upon what the hypothesis is, all right? You've got to be able to write missing statements in a proof. So if I didn't give you B here and I didn't give you A here and I said write it, well, you've got to know that the hypothesis from this premise comes from the conclusion of the previous statement. You've also got to know that therefore that's the theorem that we're proving. The condition of the theorem comes from the very first conditional statement written. All right? All right, so you've got to be able to identify the hypothesis and conclusion, understand the difference here, know those postulates that we learned. What are they? The Pythagorean theorem? Nope. 2 points determine a line, and 3 non-collinear points determine a plane. All right, you've got to know that. You do have to know Pythagorean's theorem and how to use it. So you may need your calculator, all right? You've also got to know the triangle sum theorem. You've got to know that the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 and how to calculate the area and the perimeter, circumference of a circle. It is the perimeter. All right. So you've got to be able to do that. Your review for chapter 2 is a very good review, but I would also go back in the chapter and look at problems that you worked, right? And remember what I told you, how to differentiate between an acute triangle and an obtuse triangle. The problems, I keep saying I'm gonna quit it. The problems that I am in particularly thinking about that you should look at are in lesson 3. So on pages 52 and 53, those are great homework problems to go back and look at for the direct proof. How to write the indirect statement, that comes from lesson 4. So problems on page 57 would be very helpful for you to be able to write the first statement of an indirect proof. And then all of your homework is valuable. So if you have any questions on your homework or on the test, please email me. Email me by Monday. I do have jury duty Monday, but email me and I will try to help you. All right.